What's up, YouTube family? How's it going? How you doing out there today? It's Love and Liberty. You know, we're showing up to get this work in every day, as you know. If you don't know, we'll catch you up. We are part of the alt-left pipeline. We've been talking about it, so I'm not going to get into too much of it now. But how you doing out there? How's your day going? How you feeling? What are you thinking about? What are you doing? You know, let me know. I'm going to get started with these curls. We're going to do 35 pounds. No, let's see, we're going to do 40 pounds per side. And I think we're going to try to do like 2 sets of everything today. Some days we do 2, 3, 4. Kind of depends how much time we have. But yeah, let's get into it, y'all. Good to see everybody. Let me know where you're tuning in from in the chat. It should be pretty much real time. Ultra low latency between what you're seeing and actual real life. So when you put a comment in the chat, I should see it almost in real time. All right, let's get going with these curls. While we do this, I thought today, I've been playing music, but I thought today, I'm like, oh man, sometimes I need to catch up on things in my YouTube feed and I don't have time. Same way with the exercise, making videos. We're gonna kill 3 birds with 1 stone. I'm gonna react to videos on my feed live. You can send me videos from your feed if you want me to watch and react to something in your feed. Just put it in the chat, give me the keywords, let me know how to find it. And basically, while I'm getting this work in, you guys could be chopping it up in the chat. We could be discussing anything you want to. You see a lot of the things I want to discuss up here over the next hour on the board. With that being said, y'all, let's get into, I love these ladies, iHip News, I've Had It News. I found out about them also from Afro Think Tank Media. Let's see what they're talking about today while we get this work in. You feel free to agree or disagree in the chat. Let's chop it up. Let's talk. East Coast Kev says men are not lonely at all. Okay. A lot of media and a lot of online men disagree with you, Kev, but if you got more to say, let's hear it. Ronald says, hello, sir. Why do you call it a male loneliness epidemic? I thought you were married. Yeah, so me and Mrs. L&L have been together for 17 years. I've never been lonely in my entire life. I've always had the women that I've been with in my life have gone on to do huge things in this world. So I'm coming from a perspective of trying to help these young men who, for lack of a better term, are incels, which means involuntarily celibate. And several of the mass shooters have been incels. The alt-right pipeline targets these young men. And so the alt-left pipeline, which you can go to Afro Think Tank to learn about. East Coast is not East Coast, but for you to act like a lot of these boys on the alt-right aren't the loneliest. I mean, Trump is an incel. He had to buy his wife. Like, that man has never legitimately pulled a woman who cared about him and loved him ever. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about Elon Musk the same way. Elon Musk has never pulled a woman without his money, and he's never maintained a relationship. Like, everybody he's been in a relationship hates him. All of the women I've ever been in a relationship with would tell you good things about me. The difference between the toxic masculinity, which is preached on the right, and healthy masculinity that we're promoting over here on the left, is the idea that women are human beings. They are their own people to be looked at as sister human beings. I mean, that's somebody's daughter, that's somebody's sister. When you're with a woman, you should treat her with the utmost kindness, because kindness and strength go together. Humility, because humility comes from true confidence. And we see on the right wing, all you gotta do is go on Reddit, man. All you gotta do is type in toxic masculinity, alt-right pipeline. We can put it in and watch those videos right now if that's what you guys wanna do. But they're teaching these young men that women our items, possessions to be owned, disrespected, that they're owed or entitled to some kind of affection, even if they're bad people. And we've got to teach these young men different. Ronald says, I understand now, you're very right. East Coast Kev says, I'm not a Republican, neither of these politicians matter to me. East Coast Kev, you were a Trumper though. So you are MAGA. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, because we've talked about this in the past. Like, as far as I know, you are MAGA. And again, that's, I don't think that's fine, but as far as us being able to chop it up, it's definitely fine. I just don't respect it. But correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe you were Trump and now he's gone too far and you're not anymore. We had somebody like that on the show the other day, so let me know. But that man is the opposite of everything young men should aspire to be. And it's gotten so bad underneath him that I'm forced to talk about this stuff while I get my work in, because otherwise I'm not being honest. Okay, and let's talk about this. Gratitude means, man, I'm here hanging out on YouTube with you guys, like working out, staying fit, my body is good, my life is dialed in, I'm happy. I could stop there. I'm grateful, okay? I could be done. Hey, I'm grateful. That's it. But then I think about, there but for the grace of God go I. I think about that I could have woke up with any type of disease today. I could have woke up with anything not working. I could have woke up to news of any type of tragedy. And there are so many people in the world going through so much. Okay? And then if you have strength with both of those things and the courage to put it all together, you're going to have empathy and integrity. And empathy means that for those people who are going through it, knowing that I could have been them if for any other shift of fate, I have the strength and the courage to show them empathy, which is me having integrity, which is saying, we want to put our hands down and pull up the downtrodden and oppressed of society. The alt-right is trying to put a boot on people's face, is trying to divide the working class against itself. East Coast Kev says, I'm very wrong. Masculinity built this country and the very internet you're using. Masculinity is good, East Coast Kev. Healthy masculinity is confidence and humility, is strength and kindness, is self-improvement without misogyny. Masculinity built this country, but so did femininity. Women helped build this country too. I mean, to argue otherwise would be crazy. Maybe I'm misunderstanding you. Help me clarify your thoughts. It's not bad for my circle, East Coast Kev says. We're making money in the stock market. See, that's the dishonesty, okay? Because you have the gratitude for the money you're making in the stock market, but the dishonesty is what these policies are doing to working class people who don't have the same education and opportunity and advantage that you and I might have. I could feel, a whole section of my family feels just like you. Hey, I'm grateful because things are going financially well for me. I could be that way too. It would be better for my channel to only show positivity and gratitude, talk about sports, talk about the buffs, talk about fitness, not get into politics, but I would be dishonest. And I think East Coast Kev, you're so smart, you know better. That even if you could make money under somebody who's not a fascist, somebody who's not an incel, somebody who's not disgusting, PDF protecting, if not a PDF himself, lifelong con man. You could, if you are actually confident and you are actually strong, you're going to make money under any administration. I know I have. So you're saying you're not strong enough to compete under an administration that's more fair to the working class? You let me know. Avanti in the house. I like a lot of your versions of masculinity, but I also feel things like this are very subjective outside of a few things that I believe should be universal. Okay, Avanti, a lot of this is subjective. Let's talk about what's not subjective. And this is not even to be cliche. Every human being alive, that's why I titled this channel. This is objective. This is not up for debate, okay? And you let me know if I'm wrong, because I'm stating this as my opinion. Every human being on earth, no matter what their religion, no matter what their background, no matter what their economic status is, every human on earth wants love and they want liberty for themselves. Is that objective or is that subjective? East Coast Kev, you know I'm not talking about, obviously you being a black man in America, you have overcome a lot of disadvantages that I and white people have not had to overcome. That's conceded, point blank, you know. But when I ask you, how did you do that? That's what you got to tell me, and that's where I will make my point. Because when you start explaining to me how you came from a disadvantage to the position that you're in now, I will show you where you had things come into your life. Again, back to being honest, there but for the grace of God go you, go I, that other people didn't have. And other people didn't know better. And they don't deserve to be exploited and robbed of their labor because we had some advantages in education and insight that other people never got. I'm going to keep looking at what you guys are talking about. So Ronald agrees every human on earth wants love and wants liberty. So my point is, Avanti, what we need to talk about with healthy masculinity, if a lot of it is subjective and this is objective, how do our forms of masculinity serve love and liberty and not make us hypocrites? Because if I want love and liberty for myself, I can't do things that are going to block you from having it. Liberty is not freedom, okay? Freedom, you know, by definition means I can do anything. I'm free. There's nothing I can't do. Liberty is not freedom because liberty says you can do anything short of somebody else's nose. You can do anything except taking away somebody else's liberty. Your liberty ends where my nose begins and vice versa. It's not my liberty to dump paint in your water supply and poison your water supply, okay? We all want these two things, so how do we be masculine, confident, strength, self-improvement, while still serving love and liberty? Because otherwise we're hypocrites, and hypocrites are liars, and that's our president, and that's why I'm here, man. The alt-right has gone too far, and they really have. It's become so toxic, and they've made these young men so confused and angry and mad at the wrong people that now, you know, there's a lot of people doing this because of a reaction. We waited too long, honestly. We let these young men get influenced by people who basically don't know what they're talking about. Like, all of these men on the alt-right, like, they don't actually get bad women, you know, like, about that women, like successful, independent, brilliant, beautiful, you know, sane, intelligent women. They all have these Barbie doll cult girls, and those relationships never last, man. They teach men to value the wrong thing, and we see the fruits of that in this administration of toxic masculinity, where they think that strength is kicking down on people. East Coast Skev says, I'll tell you what, if the Republicans are that bad, tell them Democrats need to send me my reparations. East Coast Kev, only one side is willing to talk about that, I'll tell you that. I'm pro-reparations. I know a lot of liberals that are pro-reparations. The conservatives are never even going to talk about that because you know, obviously you support MAGA. Not everybody who supports MAGA is a racist, but every racist you will ever meet is MAGA. And all you got to do is ask them. Just ask them. I'm batting 1,000 when I encounter racists online. I'm like, you vote for Trump? They're like, hell yeah, I voted for Trump. So, you know, what are we talking about? It's like, yeah, are the Democrats... I say that they're both cancer, man. The Democrats are a cancerous party. The Republican party is cancerous. But it's like comparing skin cancer to brain cancer, okay? Everybody knows which one of those they're going to choose. Now, the reason we choose the skin cancer is because we got time to work with that. We got time to change that. With the Democratic Party, they still serve. Let's put this back on the board. We talked about the other day. It should be in red. I lost my red marker. Here we go. They all serve the oligarchs. The oligarchs. Now, if I start saying the oligarchs' names, okay, I'm not going to. Call me superstitious, call me conspiracy theorist, whatever. I'm not saying their names in this algorithm. Literally the people that run our world, okay? And they pull the strings of both parties. They own everything. The only difference is the Democratic Party is the only party that even attempts to tax the wealthy and these people whatsoever. The Democratic Party at least goes to these people and says, y'all are being way too greedy. Like, nah, you got to cut back. It's gone too far. While we're in office, we're going to pull back. You're going to get more tax. We're going to take away a lot of the loopholes. We're going to do community betterment stuff with that money. The Democrats want universal health care. We had universal health care in the military. We have universal health care for our Congress people and public workers. We're not going to do that for our citizens. Come on, man. That's in all of our best interests. These people ultimately decide, but they use the Democrats versus the Republican Party to decide how hard they can squeeze us. Because when the Republicans are in control, they say, yes, daddy, whatever you want, daddy. Let me get on my knees for you, daddy. How much of a tax break do you want, daddy? And that's the difference between the two parties. They're both owned by these people, which we have to change. But there's an order of operations. There's a sequence, okay? Like, we're behind the 8 ball. We're the underdogs. Our season ain't looking great like the Buffs right now. But we got potential like the Buffs. And the potential is saying, hey, if we all want love and liberty, how do we who are masculine and can talk to young men and be a good role model for young men, which that means helping young men have the best possible lives that they can. Don't you want that for all the young men you know? Don't you want for all the young men you know to have the best lives possible, to compete in the fairest marketplace possible? These people don't have a fair marketplace, and the Republicans make it more unfair. The Democrats make it unfair, but less so than the Republicans. I'm going to see what you guys are saying. Avanti says, what you mean, Kev? As a black person myself, I personally don't understand the reparations movement much. Ronald says, this gentleman has been respectful. Let's be respectful to him. Ronald, man, I appreciate you, but you guys do not have to be respectful to me. I welcome. This is the difference between me and the alt-right, okay? And a lot of people want to ignore the chat. They only want to look at the good comments. They only want the people who love them in there. I want the discussion, man. I want a real community. I want to talk about this with people like East Coast Kev. I want East Coast Kev to shoot this full of holes so I can make my case, okay? Because I'm confident with humility. I believe I can speak on all of this and that I can answer anything that people want to challenge about. I've thought long and hard about all of this. This is not coming to me, anytime recently. This is my life. My life is built on all of this. I've never been lonely. I've never been an incel because I've always treated women with empathy and integrity and truly love them as human beings, and that is attractive to women, okay? And that's what we're going to teach these young men how to do. Okay. Yeah. You're right, East Coast Kev, man. I got to pay up. We got to get some work in, but this is good. I appreciate it, and I'm going to read the chat while we get this work in. Oh, he's talking about pay up reparations. Joe Biden is racist too. I'm not going to say that he's not. I'm just going to say he's a better person than Donald Trump. That's it. And comparing Joe Biden to Donald Trump is crazy. Are they both shitty presidents? Yeah. But is Joe Biden clearly the least shitty? Hell yeah. Like, it's not even close. It's not even close, bro. Joe Biden's terrible and he's still better than Trump. We can't have two devils though, East Coast Kev. We only have one devil, and it's definitely Trump. Joe Biden might be a demon, but he ain't the devil. The devil is Trump, or it's one of those names I was about to say that's an oligarch. His initials are PT. If you look at oligarchs, one with the initials PT, that guy might be the devil. But it definitely ain't Biden when you got those people on the game board. Ooh, Biden's twice the man any of those dudes are, and he's a little bitch. Ooh, he's still twice the man that they are. You know, and it's ridiculous that those are our choices. It's absolutely unacceptable, and we have to do better. And the only thing I know how to do is start talking about it and seeing where that goes. I mean, I do other things in my community under my government name, you know what I'm saying? But I'm not trying to mix these two worlds right now. Because when you talk about the alt-right and the alt-left, these little demons try to find you for real. Avanti says, do you prefer people vote off candidate or party? Then Ronald says, how are those dumbbells different from the traditional ones? Let me answer Ronald first because it's a quick answer. So, Ronald, each of these colors is a different weight. Like you'll see this is 40 pounds. I'm gonna switch it to 25 and you'll see they're smaller. And then I'll tell you what they are. All right, so see, I switched it to the green, now it's smaller, and then it leaves these other plates. You can see these on the ground. So they're adjustable dumbbells. All right, they're adjustable dumbbells. You could Google adjustable dumbbells, and these are Power Block 45s, which means they go up to 45 pounds. We're doing 25 on these shoulder raises. All right, and Avanti says, do you prefer people vote off candidate or party? Definitely candidate, Avanti. Candidate all day. But I don't know anybody in the Republican Party right now who isn't just reprehensible human being in my eyes. If you have a Republican, anybody out there that you think is not a complete piece of garbage, let me know so we could talk about them. And then Democrats, most of them I don't like at all, but there's several that I do. Like I could name 5 or 10 Democrats that I do like. And so for me right now, that's the difference, is you vote for the skin cancer over the brain cancer because you got longer time to battle the skin cancer. It's less lethal. And then you have to defeat the cancer in your own party. You know, we have the leadership in the Democratic Party is just embarrassing. Horrible. I don't even like Gavin Newsom, but I like the way he treats Trump. Because healthy masculinity, the way you treat bullies is you bully them back. You bully them back until the bully taps out, and then you say, hey, see how that was ridiculous and you didn't like how that felt? Why are you doing that to these other people? And they say, hey man, you're right. I'm not gonna do that anymore. Then you make the bully make friends with the person they were picking on, and you make friends with both of them, and everybody's friend. That's what healthy masculinity looks like, because you just restored love and liberty to everybody, and you did it by bullying the bully. Because you're not bullying them to hurt them, you're bullying them just to the point that they get it, just to the point that they learn the lesson. It's called tough love. It's the same way we're bullying these shoulder muscles till they give up. Because you know 15 minutes later, they'll be ready to go again. Tough love makes them grow, but it's with love. I'm not doing 35 pounds and using my momentum, you know, to make you guys think I'm doing more weight. Meanwhile, I'm putting my shoulders at risk when I'm trying to be healthy and grow, you know, so it's having good form. That's integrity, you know, empathy for your body. Hey, I'm gonna break you down, but you're gonna grow back stronger. That's how we need to have healthy masculinity. We break people down with love, you know, and bullies need to be bullied. Trump needs to be bullied. Gavin Newsom is bullying the bully, and it works. And I've been saying for years, that's how you need to treat these dudes. And so I was this before this even existed. Again, Afro think tank. Let's do this. Afro think tank. Nah. Afro Think Tank Media. All right, that's Afro Think Tank. Y'all can check out the alt-left pipeline. Avanti says the thing about Trump is everything he is doing is what he ran on during his campaign. He's doing what the majority of the country voted for at this time. How do you expect Democrats to win? Avanti, the majority of the country did not vote for Donald Trump. Even if the election was legitimate, which I don't believe it was, I think Elon Musk and Trump did some hacking. You guys can look into that. There are some legitimate PhD level statistics scientists from different universities, and the anomalies are off the charts. I mean, it is pretty ridiculous, but let's set that aside and say it was legitimate. He still didn't get even 50% of the vote, dog. If you look at the people in this country, he got like 49%. Okay, so half the country, more than half the country didn't vote for him. Okay, and that's why the alt-left pipeline or the alt-right pipeline is so important, because it got these young men who actually are not into the misogyny, the xenophobia, the nationalism, the racism. It got them to vote for Trump because somehow they framed the right wing as masculine when they're not. They're like, are there some masculine people, MAGA? I would say no. Like, I will have them come on and debate. I'll have them come to Boulder. We could work out together. We could debate together. We can box in the gym together. We could roll in the gym together. Whatever you want to do. And I will talk to them, whoever they are, about how you cannot be MAGA and be masculine. You cannot have no empathy and call yourself masculine. Because if you don't have empathy, it means you're scared. It means you're scared, and what those people are scared of is always irrational. It's something they've been taught. Okay, so Avanti, he didn't even get 50% of the vote. He got like 49% if there were no shenanigans, which I think there were. Everybody do your own research. That's not the argument I'm here to make. But I have researched it, and the anomalies jump off the charts, and it's all places where Elon Musk had the ability to do some technology stuff with his Starlink and with other companies that he owns. But let's just say that it was legit. He got 49% of the vote. That's half and half. We capture back these young men who don't want to hate. They don't want to be bigots. They don't want to have masked people kidnapping their neighbors, you know, like. And again, to sum up my stance on immigration, my family, when they got here in the 1600s, they signed a piece of paper and they were told, "Welcome to the United States of America." How am I not a hypocrite if I demand more from other people than what my family had to do? I think that would make me a hypocrite. So I can't advocate for anything more than my family had to do, or else I'm being dishonest. And again, if somewhere in this chain these break, gratitude, honesty, strength, or courage, if a man is lacking one of those, he's probably not going to have empathy and integrity. Donald Trump has none of these. None of these. He's not even grateful. He's bitter and spiteful every day. He's the most powerful man in the world. He's not grateful for shit. He's just full of spite, full of hate, full of, I gotta get this. Like, don't get me started on the crypto. If you guys know anything about the recent Bitcoin scandal going on with Trump, it's just ridiculous, man. It's crazy. Avanti says, when they are promoting things the majority of people don't seem to resonate with. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about what are the things the Democratic Party is supporting that most people don't agree with. Because I will say most people don't agree with tax cuts for the rich that the Republicans are doing. Most people don't agree with doubling the price of healthcare by failing to renew the Affordable Health Act credits, which the Republicans are doing. Most people do not want their health insurance to double, which it will if what the Republicans are trying to pass. Even crazy ass Marjorie Taylor Greene, you can go right to her. She's like, my children in Georgia's healthcare is going to double if the Republicans do what they're trying to do. Most people don't want their neighbors to have to worry about being kidnapped by masked men if they're going to work, being productive citizens, following the rules, being good people. Most people don't want an armed, masked, anonymous police force out on the streets rounding people up with impunity. So how is anything the Democrats are supporting worse than that? Like, y'all gotta let me know specifics. Ronald says, I see you can adjust the weights easy. Thanks for answering that. You got it. Anything you guys want to know, feel free to ask. We're going to keep working here. Probably just going to do 2 sets today. We've been going hard, so ain't nothing wrong with a 2-set day or even a 1-set day. But I got to count these. That's 2. So I do the same on both sides. 3, 4. These are 25 pounds. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, and when the form starts to break down, that's when we're done. So we got 11 on that side. Let's go back and this was my original plan. I was going to respond. Let's listen to this dude Parker debate some MAGA people and talk about kind of what they're talking about. If you guys can't hear the volume once I turn it on, let me know. I'll turn it up. And I'm going to keep getting this work in and then react to some of what's on my feed. So I can stay up to speed with what's in my YouTube feed while we're getting this work in, while we're building community. Kill 3 birds with 1 stone. You know what I'm saying? So might as well. I like this kid Parker. I wouldn't call him masculine, but not everybody has to be masculine. I would say he's a good dude. He's a smart dude. He destroys these MAGA arguments. So let's listen in and see what he's talking about.
That's an incorrect opinion, and he's
No, it's
objectively
not.
not a fascist.
Can you define fascism?
Go ahead. It's someone who wants to silence their political opponents.
Trump.
Someone who wants to have nationalistic values, right?
Okay.
I'm giving I don't think this is definition. I don't have the exact definition, but I kind of understand what.
Those 2 that you just said are both applicable to Trump, so try to provide other ones if you can.
Yeah, sure, that's fine. I mean, you could be some of these and not be a fascist.
Yeah, go ahead. Just name some of them that aren't applicable to Trump. How about that?
Is there like 7 qualifiers? I forgot all.
14 characteristics of fascism.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But that's some of
All right, so we're talking about what is fascism.
Every single word is defined based upon the way that we have used it.
Chat, let's pause for a chat question. Ronald, I have a question. What do you think about the shutdown? What has to give to get it opened back up? This is scary stuff. Ronald, one of the things in the shutdown is Democrats refusing to go along with the Republicans' bill that will double everyone's health care by ending the Affordable Care Act credits. And that is a very unpopular opinion in America. Just going by what the issues are, the Republicans are eventually going to have to give. They're not going to win this one. The Democrats say that basically they're willing, because I will tell my Democratic representative, I would rather the shutdown go on and you finally stand up to these thugs and tell them no, any way and every way that you can, than give in to them. And I think most of their voters feel that way. Certainly in Boulder, I have friends in big blue metropolitan areas. I have friends and family in tiny red conservative areas. And I don't think the Republicans are going to win this. I think that the Democrats also, the morality of this is debatable. They're going to use this for the midterm elections to say, and rightfully so, to say, look how incompetent these people are, letting the shutdown go on so that they can screw the American working class. The Republicans have these people's backs ride or die. The Republicans are ride or die for these oligarchs. They're willing to blow everything up to serve daddy. And the Democrats are saying, we're not going to go along with it. Whatever happens, we trust in the American people to see who's who in this argument. Also blocking to release the Epstein files. Like, come on. Like, see, all of this. This is the first time I've probably said the Epstein files in any of these videos, and that's crazy. All of this circus is meant for us not to talk about the Epstein files, and that the Republicans have literally stopped the government to protect PDFs. What else is there to talk about, men? We're talking about a party who shut down the government to protect PDFs and try to double people's health care. What are we talking about? How is it a debate? It's crazy. Avanti says, this is why I'm an independent, because them trying to get rid of the Affordable Health Care Act is repulsive. Hey, that's what I'm saying, Avanti, and hey, I support good people, whatever they are. Like, if I don't know anybody that's MAGA, that has gratitude, honesty, strength, and courage, but if I meet one, I'll respect them and be friends with them, even if I don't think, I think East Coast Kev is lacking the honesty part. I think he's left, but like, I'll tell him that, like, he knows that that's how I feel, and like, I'm not cool with like being good friends or you know, like having the back of somebody who doesn't have all these traits, but I'll still talk to them every day, because I used to be a far right-wing Christian Republican when I went into the Marine Corps, okay? When I came out of the Marine Corps, I was opposite everything. And I went through the phase of first being an independent and then becoming what I would consider left-wing, which left-wing is because I support universal health care, universal housing, universal basic income, universal education, basically because, right, your kids having what they need to just compete, like having access to education. That doesn't mean they become a doctor, but they might become a welder. And if I chip in a little bit to help them become productive, they're not going to be in the streets. They're not going to be causing mischief. They're not going to be coming in and trying to rob me, because they have the basics of what they need. Now, once everybody has the basics of what they need, then we compete. Then we all compete, and it's fair, okay? I don't need an advantage over an immigrant that comes here. Like, let us both have health care and at the very basic place to live. That don't mean you give everybody a mansion. That means you might let the homeless people live on a barracks in Kansas, the same way we do in the military. Okay, you might live with 60 other people, but you don't have to be homeless. And you can have Wi-Fi. You can have medical care. We could teach you how to be anything that you can pass the test for, and you can change your life, okay? That's why I'm left, because I have seen too many people who had the opposite of the advantages that I had. Disadvantages, to put it mildly, and I know that that could have been me. And I know that if it was me, I would just be hoping that the people who were actually strong would say, you know what, I've got enough. Let me help you a little bit, because it's no skin off my back. And as a matter of fact, when I do help you, it's going to actually in the long term benefit my friends and family, because we're going to have a better society, a better community for everybody, because we put love and liberty before the right to exploit people. Okay, because the right wing is basically saying, no. We can run people into the ground until they die, and that's okay, because we're winning. And it doesn't matter what advantages we had. It doesn't matter how we rigged the system in our favor. None of that matters. It's right by might. And these motherfuckers aren't even strong. Okay, they're cheaters. They're strong like the mafia is strong. Like, is the mafia strong? Kind of. They kill their competition and get away with it. That's why I'm not saying any names. All right, let's get back into this debate. They were talking about what fascism is. You guys can keep bringing up topics in the chat. I'm going to keep these sets going. I got Rose up next. Let me mark my progress.
Obsession with crime and punishment. He specifically consistently advocates for law and order over and over and over again, while specifically simultaneously or trying to like literally invade aspects of the United States, declaring war on the quote-unquote enemy within by trying to send the National Guard to different places around the United States. That's obviously him having an obsession with national... yes, that's literally what he said. He changed it to the Department of War as well. All right, this is obviously an obsession with crime and punishment. Obviously, this is very, very clear. We can obviously see the rampant cronyism and corruption. He dropped a meme coin, specifically that foreign governments can buy,
that's
specifically
crazy.
increase the valuation of, where you specifically can't know who bought it, which is obviously a method of
that's
cronyism
crazy.
and corruption.
That
You got a
was
$400
crazy.
million jet.
See, even MAGA supporters
Obviously,
know that meme coin stuff is just the biggest scam. It's so gross, man. It's so gross.
Absolutely no evidence when there were 60 plus.
We didn't even scratch the surface of how
Now go ahead.
disgusting that is and how much money we're talking. Generational wealth.
Why are you so confident and smug? This is crazy. You said so many lies. You said
There
he's
wasn't a single
literally
lie.
declaring war on Chicago, buddy. You're absolutely.
He said that himself.
insane.
He said that himself, dude.
See, MAGA don't even know what Trump's out there saying. They don't even know that he actually
It's
used
a
those
figure of
words.
Speech. Like I said, he's not the greatest speaker. Okay.
Nah, he's a
Go
liar.
ahead. And he's a billionaire. He doesn't know how to relate.
He's
to
a
regular
PDF.
people. He's obviously just rage.
He's a con
Like
man.
you. I think there's like a war going on because
He's a little trust fund bitch, man.
Is not supposed to rage
Never been
bait.
slapped or
President is not
punched in the
supposed to
face in his
rage
life.
bait.
You
We're
already
supposed to
know.
be
Yes,
professional.
you're
That's
right.
not for-
You're
it's-
right.
Couldn't bust a grape in a fruit
This is
fight.
the climate that we live
Rage
in.
baiting. That's because of the
Yes, this geriatric is rage baiting, bro. Like it's crazy. It doesn't make any sense. Like
Dude,
you shouldn't
his,
fall
his
for it.
response to the obvious
It's
and
law and
absurd,
order. It's
absurd
literally
actions,
so-
dude, your response to the obvious authoritarian actions is, oh, dude, he's rage baiting and trolling.
It's not. It objectively isn't. Like
Okay, Avanti says, do you think sensitive words like fascism, racism, the phobias, etc. are overused, that it devolves the meanings behind them? Man, you come with some fire points, my guy. I'm gonna catch my breath and reread that so that it's clear. Avanti says, do you think sensitive words like fascism, racism, the phobias, etc. are overused, and that overuse devolves or devalues the meanings behind them? That's a viewpoint that he's heard a lot online. Man, not only is the answer yes, but that is part of their strategy. I might get a little weird for a second. You guys remember that movie, The Never-Ending Story? It depends how old you are in the chat. In The Never-Ending Story, there was this thing called the Nothing. And the Nothing ate everything. It consumed the world. Everybody was running away from the Nothing. The oligarchs, and so this is how these tie together. The oligarchs co-opt every good word, like liberty, love, or fascism, racism, the phobias, and language. Again, this is gonna sound weird, but man, YouTube this, Google this. This is a whole pipeline of information. Language and spelling have, for a long time, by certain secret societies, been considered actual magic. Like spelling, literally casting a spell. Words are so powerful. When you water down the word fascism, that's how we can have fascism happening right now, and nobody, when, more than half our ancestors fought in World War II against fascism. Literally, we had a world war over this. And now people are unreactive when one of the greatest democracies ever to be on earth starts going down the rabbit hole, down the tunnel slide of fascism so quickly and make anybody paying attention's head spin, because these people, okay, you gotta wrap your head around the scale of money that oligarchs have. You have to do things like use an AI or go on Google and say, help me visualize $1 billion, okay? Like, help me fit into my mind exactly how much money we're talking about. Because when you actually understand the scale of what they're working with, everything in your politics and beliefs and philosophy will start to change. Even more so when you understand, where does money come from? How is money created? I'm pausing like Coach Prime, because I'm like, do I want to go into this? Do I just want to give you simple answers and then tell you to go research yourself? I want you guys to just hold on to the concept of these people create money. They create it out of thin air, okay? We could have a whole mini discussions on that, but there's also all of the YouTube videos to explain to you how fractional reserve banking works, how money creation works, how the value of money works. You understand those things. Where does it come from? How's it created? How does it come into being? How do these people get so much of it? And then after you understand those, you really start to understand what they do with it. And what they do with it to water down words like Avanti is talking about, whether it's fascism, racism, the phobias. Okay, these people, you guys know about secret societies, you guys know about societies that aren't secret, like the Freemasons and whatnot. These people have the money to be everywhere, okay? They're in churches, they're in secret societies, they're in universities, they're on NFL teams, they're in the CIA, they're in the military, they're in major corporations, they're in city councils. These people have unlimited money. They are everywhere. They're servants, their employees, their spies are everywhere, okay? They tune society like a finely oiled F1 machine to funnel money, to funnel control, to funnel power in their directions because they know they're outnumbered and they have to stay ahead of the people. The only way you as a group of like less than 100 people can outrun the billions of people on earth is to divide them all. How do you divide them? Language, spelling, magic, okay? It's not magic, it's science, it's psychology, but these people hire the best Ivy League psychologists, the best Ivy League linguists, the best Ivy League debate coaches, the best neuroscience. Come on, they have unlimited money. They fund the buildings these people are learning in. You don't think they're tapped into who the brightest young minds are coming up and they give them a job? And not usually these young people coming out of these Ivy League institutions don't realize what's happening. They just think, my hard work is being rewarded. I have been seen, I have been validated. You know, this person really understands what I bring to the table and they're paying me like I've never been paid before. And then time goes on and they start to realize that they're hooked in. And these people, man, it's a whole nother rabbit hole, but Avanti, not only are those words watered down, it's part of the design. Because here's how I can put this simply. Let's pause because this is important. This is the simplest way to say how important language is, okay? Language is the difference between chimpanzees and human beings. What else do I need to say? When words mean nothing, we are chimpanzees in a jungle. Okay? They ain't building anything. They're not schooling their young. They're not harnessing the sun's energy. They're not doing brain surgery and heart surgery and making smartphones and Facebook and YouTube and all that. Language is what separates us from what we came from. If we lose the definitions of words, if they stop meaning exactly what they mean, we have chaos. Language is order. The opposite is chaos. And so if you want order, which, order sounds like it could be rigid or whatever, but it's like there is freedom in order because you know what to expect. If you expect that you are going to live in a society that makes sure you have access to love and liberty, you're probably okay with that kind of order. If the order is so that a few people have access to this, but the rest of the people basically live in a jungle fighting each other, you probably don't like that order. The more we go towards order, the more we go towards fairness. We get to be specific and subtle. We can't be subtle and talk about how do you be confident but also be humble? How do you be strong but you're also kind? How do you improve yourself without being misogynistic? We can't get subtle if words don't have their meanings, and if everything is fascism, if everything is racism, then nothing is fascism and nothing is racism, and now we have chaos. And what do we have? We have chaos, and we have words that are meaningless. Avanti says, I feel like liberals and far leftists overuse them the most from what I see online. Correct me if you think I'm wrong. I think, so here's a way to be subtle. I think you may be right in saying that about liberals. I think if you're talking about true far leftists, because a lot of people say, hey, here's another perfect example. I don't know if you're using the term leftist properly. Like if you're actually using the actual definition of the word leftist, because with liberals, I think there's a lot of liberals who use words improperly and they kind of ride a bandwagon. They don't really care that much. They're just trying to be cool. But far leftists are about that life. If you're far left, you're doing something like this. You're spending your time in some way trying to make society more like this. And if I use the word fascism about Donald Trump, I fucking mean it. Okay, my degree from Clemson is in history and philosophy. I know what fascism is. It is what Donald Trump is trying to do. It is what MAGA is trying to do. Is every policy that they espouse fascism? No, but is this actually fascism? So I'm using the word fascism, but I mean it. But it is washed out by the Republicans calling, there is fascist tendencies in the Democratic Party. But now we're like, okay, if we see fascism on both sides, let's talk about what fascism actually is, and let's eliminate it from our party and their party. And I think there's a lot of people on the left side, definitely the left side, but liberal is much bigger. There are a lot of people in the liberal side who would say, I sincerely want to remove all aspects of fascism from the Democratic Party. Now in the right wing, we have people saying, maybe fascism is a good thing. Y'all see the text chain of those, they call them young Republicans, but these people were in their 30s. One of them was a state senator. Okay, they're calling them young Republicans because that was the name of the club. But these people were saying the N word with the hard R. They were talking about putting people in gas chambers. They were talking literally about fascism and embracing it. You're never going to find that in a liberal group chat. And that's the difference. And these words do matter, but are they washed out? Yeah, they are. And a lot of it is because the oligarchs, when you're hiring these Ivy League debaters, psychologists, neuro-linguistic professors who literally understand how words go into your mind and set off a series of synapses and make you think, and they tune everything that you see and hear, because these people fund YouTube, okay? These people fund Facebook. These people own and fund everything. They are controlling the way that you receive, process, and digest information. And if you don't think at some level, they're going to these people that they've hired and say, hey, this word fascism is too divisive in our culture. It's really causing a lot of problems. How do we kind of tamp that down? The psychologists, they go to work for the paycheck, and they say, well, historically what you can do is you just accuse the other side of that which you are guilty. That is such an old tactic. So like, if I'm being a fascist and you call me a fascist, I'm like, no, you're a fascist. I know you are, but what am I? It is literally, I know you are, but what am I? Okay, and we're seeing that, so we have actual fascism happening. We have the people who are being fascist being like, no, you're fascist. And the messed up thing is sometimes when they point at people, they're right, but it doesn't change that they're still the biggest fascists. They are the most pressing, number one in the order of operations to deal with. The most malignant form of cancer, okay? We might have different forms of cancer going on, but we've got number one, MAGA fascism to deal with before we can deal with anything else. Vanti says, ultimately as an independent, the worst part of all this is that nobody can get along with each other, at least online. I'm going to read all of these, but I probably want to address that one independently because there's a lot in that. Then he says, in person, I've known liberals and conservatives who get along. Hell, I lean more conservative and my best homie's liberal as fuck, and we tight, but that's in real life relationship. Online makes everything look like it's us versus them and some bull like that. Okay, so the first thing he said, ultimately as an independent, the worst part of all this is that nobody can get along with each other, at least online. Okay. So if you're seeing somebody that you love get bullied, and you know the bully, and you're witnessing this happen, are you going to be friends with the bully? Like, they're bullying somebody you love. You've asked them to stop. They're like, no, we're still cool. Me and you are still cool, but I'm going to keep bullying them. And you're like, man, I love that person, man. Leave them alone. And they're pushing their head down into the dirt. They're giving them swirlies. They're stealing from them, whatever. Are you going to be friends with that bully? That's what I need to know. Are you going to be friends with somebody who's rubbing somebody you care about's face in the dirt? Is that masculinity? Is that healthy? To just be like, well, I'm friends with both of them. You know, when the kid gets done getting his face rubbed into the dirt, I'll be the shoulder that he can lean on. I'll be like, man, I'm sorry this is happening to you. I'm still your friend. I would never do this to you. And then the bully comes over and you play, video games, and, you just don't talk about what he's doing to your other friend. And you're like, hey, man, at least me and the bully are chill playing video games. Avanti says, I think you misinterpret what I say. When I say get along, I mean no bullying. Having different views is fine, but they are built on compassion for your fellow human. That's what I'm saying, man. Like, nah, I'm with you, but I'm asking you literally, how do you handle that situation? Because that is what's happening. MAGA is rubbing good people's faces into the ground without mercy, with complete disregard for their humanity. What are good people supposed to do about that? Like, can I be cordial with East Coast Kev even though he's MAGA? Hell yeah. And, but I can't really hang out with him and kick it, because I would be thinking the whole time how messed up it is that he cares more about what he's getting out of the stock market than what's happening to his brother and sister human beings. I can't just go to the park and throw a ball or shoot some ball or exercise with East Coast Kev and not want to ask him the whole time, man, what's up with this? But if we can talk about that like we are here, then I'm going to do it with the utmost civility, with the respect, with the belief that, hey man, I used to believe what East Coast Kev, not to pick on him, he was just in the chat earlier, and we've talked a lot about this, and so I know he doesn't mind being out there as a MAGA supporter, because he puts it out there. So we're just using him as an example. But if I just ignore my brothers, like East Coast Kev, or my actual family members, if I just ignore them, ignoring the honesty that says, hey man, it's cool that it's good for you, but what, you're not strong enough, you're not smart enough, clever enough to succeed under an administration that treats people with humility and civility and the rule of law? Come on, man. Yes, you are. You're better than that. And it's not to put him down and be like, you're this and you're that. Nah, man. Like, I used to believe what you did, and I had so many conversations with people that eventually the honesty inside myself said, man, I can't lie anymore. I am against what all those people stand for. And that started out as me being an independent. But then I became like, no, I actually think we need to educate everyone. I think we need to house everyone. I think we need to feed everyone, because I studied economics and learned that we can. I learned about the scale of money that these people have, and that they create it out of thin air, okay? And that they rig the monopoly board. And when I learned all of that, that's when I became left and said, oh, no. Money's fake. It's not based on gold that we pulled out of the ground anymore. It's based on these people hitting the enter button on a computer and everything else that they do that comes from having unlimited money. If you had unlimited money, what would you do? Okay, we see what they choose to do with it. If I had unlimited money, I would feed people at a basic level, house them at a basic level, give them health insurance, give them a place to live, even if it's a barracks in Kansas with 50 people in a squad bay, but you can go to school for free while you're there and become anything you could pass the test to get to, and now you can go out, buy whatever house you want, buy whatever car you want, buy whatever insurance you want. We can have capitalism, competition, where the bottom is a fair place for people to land, and that is the left. And that's what took me from being an independent to being left, is understanding how money is created and how much they have and how much they use it to rig everything. If you don't intimately understand the creation of money, how it gets value, how it goes to oligarchs first before it filters down to the rest of society, this will never make sense to you. Ronald, institutional investors work for the oligarchs. Okay, so do institutional investors, okay, God, I don't want to say that, I don't want to say any of these people's names because they own the companies that do all of the AI tracking. But there is an institutional investor with the initials, let's say BR. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say. An institutional investor with the initials of BR, and it's a company. It's not a person's name. It's a company. Scary, scary, scary stuff, man. They control so many politicians, which in turn control so many communities in America, which in turn basically controls our country, okay? And many, many other countries as well. Pretty much every country on earth is controlled by these people. And the institutional investors answer to them. The institutional investors are working to please and gain favor from them. That's the word, okay? And if you do your own research and you know who they are and you start to understand how does money come into existence, once it does, how is its value determined? Like, okay, we have $1 now, we have $1 in 1973. Both $1, right? No. The dollar in 1973 will buy you a gallon of milk. Okay? So it's lost. Actually, our money has... How I remember the statistic is that our wages relative to buying power. So the wages of the middle class and their ability to buy bread and milk is the same now as it was in 1973, while China has grown at a factor of like 100 to 1 in that time. So our buying power has stagnated. And that is how these people tune. They're like, listen, how much can they take before they revolt? Okay? And by printing money or taking money out of circulation, we can control how much bread or milk you can buy. When everything starts to look like it might go sideways, like during the George Floyd protests, okay, send everybody some money and lower down inflation, which, again, we are kind of really not dumbing this stuff down, but only hitting the high notes of these conversations. But we can increase the money supply. We're going to take more of it than we give the people, but the people will temporarily be able to buy more bread and milk. But the time all the money that we have kept, that we also created, comes in, it dilutes everything and makes them poor again. And so we put money in when we're like, oh, you guys are getting a little too comfortable. Because why don't they want us to be comfortable? When we're comfortable, like your boy, we have time to talk. We have time to think. We have time to organize. We have time to get strong. All of these things work against these people because these people are the few and we are the many. They need you running on the hamster wheel enough, okay, they can't leave you running on the hamster wheel forever, because eventually you'll be like, F this, I'll burn it till the brakes fall off, like I'm going all in, chaos, because you've worked us too hard and we're revolting. But if you make me run on the hamster wheel and you give me a little bit of treats and that you let me off for a little bit of time each day, and when you let me off, you show me things on YouTube that make me entertained but not use my brain, and I love that, don't get me wrong. When I'm watching the Colorado Buffs, my brain turns off, except for how I'm like analyzing the team, you know, the players, whatever, but this stuff is heavy, that is light, okay? But if that's the only thing I engage in is the light entertainment, and then the next day I get back on the hamster wheel, that is what they want. They're like, work for us all day, don't think at night, just relax, turn your mind off, you know, eat some good food, kick your feet up. You know, this stuff is hard, leave this to the experts, man. You know, you don't want to get involved in that drama. Drama is messy. You know, we're back to the bully picking on your friend, and the bully's like, man, you're not going to fix things between us. Like, yo, just be friends with him, be friends with me. We'll keep it separate. And we either accept that or we don't. But when we have too much time on our hands, they know that we're going to all gravitate towards love and liberty, which they don't want us to have. And so they're going to put their money back into the supply, devalue everybody else, as everybody else starts to realize, man, I could buy less gas than I used to, less milk than I used to, less bread than I used to. My insurance has gone up this much. You know, everything's going up. The cable bill, everything's going up, up, up. Even though I made a little bit more money, I don't have any more free time. I don't have time to think, organize, meditate, work out. That's what they want, man, and I don't know exactly. I have some ideas that I can't talk about on YouTube, I've said before. But with what I can say on YouTube, all I know is that building a community is step one, to help young men understand what is left. Left means, yo, we don't want anybody to fall down so low that they die on the streets. We don't want anybody to fall down so low that they know that they have a good brain, but they just can't afford education. That doesn't mean we give them expensive, nice, luxurious lives. It means we make sure that they're not ground into dust and that they have a chance. And then we say, once we provide for that, we can compete. Everybody can buy Ferraris, Lamborghinis if you earn it. You can make more money than me if you sell a better product, but nobody's gonna get ground into the dirt. Man, that alleviates crime on so many levels. It increases innovation to a degree we can't even fathom. Let me get some more work in, and let's listen to Parker and these guys debate a little more.
Sure. And if you could go back in time.
I can talk about immigration, but I watch yours and Dean's video to educate myself because I'm new to the US. So, but I can only talk about immigration.
All right, these are Romanian deadlifts for the hamstrings. We're trying to stretch the hamstrings tight like a bowstring.
If you could go back in time,
Load the
Donald
hamstrings.
Trump or Kamala Harris, who would you rather vote for?
I'm only mostly aware about
Target
the immigration
hamstrings.
part. So if I look at the immigration, I'm still part of that immigration. I would vote for Trump only if I look at immigration. I don't know much about Kamala and Trump, what they did, what their policies are. But if I only look at the immigration part, that would be Trump.
Okay. If I were to tell you that Donald Trump was held civilly liable of sexual abuse, right, of forcefully
I won't
penetrating a
support that.
woman's vagina against her
I
will,
won't support that.
yeah, you
That's
would say you
wrong.
wouldn't
I won't
support him,
support.
correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I won't. It's wrong.
So that is true. Look up Trump liable essay, and I think that's enough information for you to specifically deny Trump. I do appreciate you coming up. I think that honestly would be enough to convince you otherwise.
Can I tell you why I support him in terms of immigration?
So we still have people
and why
that
I
don't
feel
know
like
that Trump was convicted of sexual assault by a jury.
I don't think we'd even.
I don't understand how
that
people
because
don't know
we'd
that.
already be convinced by the other point.
And again, Joe Biden sucks, but he's way better than Donald Trump.
Because I probably will talk about it here pretty soon.
It's a silly comparison. And Joe
Joe
Biden still sucks. He's still terrible.
Absolutely, just look up.
He's
Trump
still 100
liable
times
essay.
better than Donald Trump as a human being.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And say hi to Dean as well.
Of course I will. Appreciate you coming up. Thank you so much.
And we can get into
Thank you very much.
specifics.
That's
But that's the
exactly how all
fastest way I can say it,
Literally.
without going down any
Conversation should
particular rabbit hole.
be. Lindsay, thank you so much for
Is
the
they're
dollar.
both
Thank you.
terrible.
Oh no, I did not.
Trump
see
is
that.
100 times worse.
Val, thank you so much for
He's
the
a
$25
disgusting-
on PayPal. Thank you so much, Val. I really appreciate it. Thank you. I have some people to catch
Like,
up on YouTube.
unworthy of
Give
respect.
me up here real quick. I'm sorry. I will catch up to everyone on YouTube. I'm so sorry, everyone. Give me 1 second. 1 second. I just don't want to lose all the people. I don't want to lose everyone. Yo, what's up? How old are you? Okay, let's go to the next person. Only sending us requests if you meet that set of criteria listed on the TikTok screen. We're just looking for some debates. Yo, what's up? How old are you?
Hello?
How old are you?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
27.
If you could go back in time and you could either vote for Donald Trump or Kamala Harris, who would you rather vote for?
Donald Trump.
Okay. Are you driving?
Yeah, but I'm on Bluetooth right now.
I'm sorry, even though you're on Bluetooth, I do have to go on to the next person. I apologize. It is TikTok TOS, even if you're on Bluetooth. Yo, what's up? How old are you?
Hello?
How old are you?
29.
Do you support Donald Trump?
Yeah, I do.
What's your birth year?
96.
What month?
August.
For sure. And if you could go back in time and you could either vote for Donald Trump or Kamala Harris, who would you rather vote for?
Still probably Trump.
Okay, for sure. Let me think a few people and then we'll go on to our conversation real quick. Do you have a few people to think on YouTube real quick? Shannon, by the way, thank you so much for $2. Thank you. Oh, that's so funny. Shannon, thank you for the $10. Thank you. Lisa with the $20. Thank you so much.
Alright, those are some Romanian deadlifts for the hamstrings.
Aspen, thank you for $4.20.
We got presses up next.
I really appreciate it. Thank you. And Ida Louise, thank you so much for the $50 on PayPal. Thank you so much. Get some W's for Ida Louise in the comment section right now for the $50 on PayPal. Thank you so much. W's for Ida Louise in the comment section right now. Thank you so much. Zombicus, thank you for the $10. Nina, thank you for the $5. Queen, thank you for the $5. D, thank you so much for the €5. I really appreciate it. Always good to see you. Mr. Skittles, thank you so much for the $10. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Absolutely, I really appreciate it. Thank you. Fruit Punch, thank you so much for the $55. Barbara, thank you for the $50. Thank you so much. I would have told you if I saw this earlier. Thank you so much, Barbara. Can we get some W's for Barbara in the comment section right now? Thank you so much, Barbara. Hookup, thank you for the $5. Thank you. Patty, thank you for the $5. Coral with the $50 as well on YouTube Super Chat. Thank you so much for the W's for Barbara and W's for Coral in the comment
We'll
section.
check the chat
right now. Thank you
again
so much,
after
Coral.
this set.
W's for Coral in the comment section. Always good to see you. I really appreciate it. I'm having a great day so far.
Yesterday we got
Daniel,
3
thank you so much for
sets of
$2
every
absolutely.
exercise done in an hour.
Absolutely. I plan to do it right after live.
So some of these days
Right after live. I do plan to go like live.
we'll do more talking, some of these days we'll do
And
more
then you go
work.
After.
But showing up every day is the key, ladies and gentlemen,
Let me make sure I'm caught up. Daniel, thank you for the
Showing up for
$3.
yourself.
Thank you for the $3.
for your community.
I think I'm caught up there.
Whatever you're working on,
$50 on
Consistency is key, as Coach Prime says.
We need some W's for Lars in the comment section for the $50.
Consistency.
For the Colt fees. Thank you so much.
We consistently
W's for
gonna
Lars
be
in the comment
here.
section as well. Thank you so much. Seriously.
We consistently
W's for
gonna
Lars,
grow
W's for Coral, and W's for Barbara in the comment
our
section.
bodies and our minds every day at
Remember,
111.
hit that thumbs up. If you're on TikTok, tap that screen. If you're on YouTube,
Live
tap
from
it.
Boulder,
2,000
baby.
likes. I really, really appreciate it. Let's go on to the conversation. So, why do you support Donald Trump, sir? Hello? I can't hear you while you're out of the app, just letting you know.
You just saying that?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Well, I first want to start off by saying I think that you, Dean, Harry, Chris, like the group you guys got going on, you guys clearly know what you're talking about. Like, if you guys just went law for law and regulation and policy, you'd probably walk around, wipe over 90% of people. But I think, like, for, like, the common voter, and that was kind of, like, for me and my family, like, sometimes you just go off of, maybe you don't know all the stats and everything, right? But you kind of just go off, like, when life was better. Whether you have, like, a family-owned business or something like that. Like, I had a lot of people where...
This is a good point. I'm glad this guy's bringing this
My
up.
father, stuff like that, where the business took, like, a big hit during the Biden administration or even the Obama administration. Like, Obamacare fucked over my dad a lot when he was, he does healthcare through his business and his employees, and, like, it worked out a lot better for Trump. So, like, what do you say for people that maybe don't have the time to and educate about you guys or get a degree in poli-sci and shit like that? Because that's kind of like what I went on.
Yeah, well, I would just let you know most people in the comments section have a job, and they've been able to do it. It's about critical analyzing the perspective. It's not just what happens under the administration. That'd be what's called a correlation causation fallacy. Just because two variables are associated doesn't mean one caused the other. So my point would be is that we have to critically think a little bit more. We have to think the next step. We can't just think, oh, well, when was my life better? Because my life could be better under the Biden administration, but that doesn't mean it was caused by the Biden administration, right?
Yeah, and then like sometimes like suppose the state that you live in, right? Like it happens to be. I listen to your debates a lot, and I think you got a lot of good points. Like I said, I'm raised Republican Christian, so I've kind of swayed towards those values all my life. But I'll admit that Trump says some crazy shit, and like I've heard you go on your rant about the date the 10-year-old girl and anything that I feel you got that memorized at this point.
He's a
And,
disgusting
you can't justify some of the
MFer.
stuff that he says. I think it's crazy.
He's so disgusting.
But sometimes, like I heard you debating a couple of days ago with
He
somebody,
called his
and
daughter
said,
voluptuous.
you were talking about gas prices being up, whether they were up or down.
Who does
and
that,
prices,
man?
Grocery prices. And
It's
I
crazy.
don't remember his name, but he was like, well, in the
It's
state that I live
disgusting.
right
It's
now,
not crazy. It's
good. Like,
disgusting.
I don't know where you live, and you're like, no, but on a national level, it's bad. But like, what if the people in the states don't look at something like that? Like, they're not gonna.
Avanti's
they're gonna
got some
go
good
on
questions.
what's
Let's
in
go
your
here.
area, you know what I'm saying? So like, I feel like that.
Avanti says, do you think the pursuit of money is evil? Because that's my life goal there to achieve financial freedom through business and investments. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And that's what I'm talking about is like these people who are on the right, who will call me a socialist because I am, will still support the military, which is complete socialism. But that doesn't mean we don't also have capitalism. We have had socialism and capitalism in the United States from the funding of the first militia. The first militia that opposed King George was publicly funded. That is socialism. When we come together to make sure that everybody in the city of Boulder is drinking the cleanest water, that's socialism. But I can still go out and make money and buy my own stuff. Okay, so here's my answer to that. Do you think the pursuit of money is evil? Only if you stop at gratitude. If you pursue money, you will get it. It will come to you. Sometimes the least honest you are, the more it will come to you. But I believe in something like karma. Call it God, call it karma, call it the universe, whatever you want. That, the whole story of Aladdin, the original story of Aladdin and the lamp, was that everything he wished for, he would get, but it wouldn't be the way he wanted. Same thing with that movie, The Butterfly Effect, if you guys remember that. He would change something that he wished was different, but it would cause this other ripple effect that he didn't want. So I think if you pursue money, but you lack honesty, strength, and courage that give us the empathy and integrity, if you lack all of these things, you will get it, but it will not be the blessing that you wished for. Like if Aladdin wished for money, he's going to get it, but he's going to get all of these problems where he's going to say, man, in hindsight, I would not have wished for this. I would have wished for something different. So is the pursuit of money evil? Absolutely not. It actually means you want to become a valuable human being, which is noble. We want young men to invest in their own value and become so valuable they earn enough money that they feel strong enough to be kind. And it's crazy, people could have all of the money in the world and choose to be evil, but those are people who have gotten it through the wrong way, and I swear they live miserable lives. Like, it's hard to explain. If you haven't been around, I've never been around any billionaires that I know of. I'm trying to think. If I have, it would have only been in passing. But I've been around too many millionaires for me to even count. Lots of millionaires. In the business that I worked in for 10 years, I was interfacing pretty much exclusively with 10, 20, 30 different millionaires on a daily basis for years. Okay? You see different kinds. You see people whose life is like a dream, and you see people who have money that you couldn't even wrap your mind around, like Donald Trump, who wake up every day spiteful, miserable, hateful, insecure, okay? And it's because they're lacking one of these. So Avanti, or anybody out there listening who wants to pursue making money, I would just say, even if you make it harder for yourself to be honest while you're doing it, to be strong and courageous, to have empathy for your employees, for your customers, for your competition, your products, to have integrity and all of those things, it's going to be longer and harder, but you are going to end up with actual love and liberty. That's just my belief. I believe in something like karma or God that says, even if you're as successful, like Elon Musk is a miserable human being. All you gotta do is look at his Twitter feed. All you gotta do is look at his history of relationships. All you gotta do is look at what his kids say about him and don't say about him. So money is not gonna make you happy, but it will make life easier. There is no doubt about that. So here's my final answer on that. I think we need capitalism so that the people who work the hardest reap the most rewards. But we also need socialism to say, if life has beat you down into the ground and there's nowhere else for you to turn, we got you. We're not going to make you rich. We're not going to put you in a country club. We're not going to give you a masseuse. But we're going to feed you basic food like we do our troops in the military. We'll give you basic housing like we do our troops in the military. We'll give you access to education as long as you can pass the tests of what you are pursuing like we do to our troops in the military. We will give you basic medical and health care and dental care like we do to our troops in the military. So you can only fall so far. You can fall to the base level of living like a grunt in the military. And that would not cost us very much hair off these people's chin. Again, if you understand how much money they have, if you learn, if you ask Google or AI, help me understand the difference between $1 million and $1 billion. Help me understand the difference between $1 billion and $1 trillion. You will find memes, you will find visuals, you will find analogies to start to wrap your head around the scale of money that these people have. Then you need to ask, where does money come from? How is it created? When you find out that it's these people hitting the enter button on their computers, literally, you're going to understand that this basic level of socialism that I'm talking about is nothing, but it almost eliminates crime because nobody has an excuse anymore. It's like, Mo, you could go live on this barracks out in Kansas or Iowa or in Texas or wherever, post up for a few years, learn how to be a welder, bro. Learn how to be a plumber, bro. Learn how to be a doctor, a surgeon, a lawyer, whatever your brain can do. You could go live there for free and we got you. And then when you get out, we'll see who has the better business. And I'll buy a Ferrari and you buy a McLaren. But we trim at the top. Again, if you understood the scale, you would understand it's nothing to accomplish what I'm talking about. They wouldn't even feel it. Life wouldn't change except for we would have nobody suffering. Everybody would have basic access to health care. Nobody would be homeless. And it would cost us nothing as a society except for saying, hey, to say that they earned their money when they're hitting enter on a keyboard, that's the disconnect the right has. The right teaches you like, whoa, you can't steal from them. Stealing is wrong. And you're like, yeah, that's right, stealing is wrong. Oh no, I don't want to take somebody else's hard-earned success. But it's a lie. It's a lie. Hitting the enter button to create money out of thin air is not hard work. If you tell me it is, you ain't never done hard work. I know the people watching this channel have done hard work. These people do not do hard work to hit the enter button and create $1 trillion. It's not based on gold. It's not based on any metals that we have in Fort Knox. It's not based on anything other than when they say hit the enter button, we create more money. My problem is when people say capitalism as a whole shouldn't exist. I believe that's foolishness. Okay, Avanti, we're back into words having very specific meanings, and the more meaning and the more rigid and consistent we are with those meanings, the more we can be subtle. And that's when we can say, yes, we need capitalism and we need socialism, and they coexist, and they always have. Capitalism came from feudalism, okay? Feudalism, where serfs or slaves worked a lord's land, and the lord paid taxes to the king and the nobility. And capitalism allowed people to start their own businesses who weren't in the nobility. And that's a great thing. That was an expansion of liberty. These people who used to have to stay, and these people who worked on a lord's land, they couldn't leave. They couldn't go visit their family in another country, not without the Lord's permission. And I mean like the Lord of the land, okay? That's capitalism was a step towards liberty from feudalism, okay? But then capitalism got to a point where people started developing monopolies. We know what monopolies are. And they started using those monopolies to influence government and control government. Okay, so now we got a new problem. Now this thing that was meant to bring liberty to more people's lives, capitalism, has started eating itself, because the people who are the most successful are now basically becoming lords again and doing the same thing that we just escaped from. Now socialism is created. And just like capitalism has succeeded in some areas and failed in others, so has socialism. You want to know one way socialism succeeded? Again, the first militia funded to fight King George was socially funded. The military is literal socialism. Okay, we don't even have the United States without socialism. But does that mean we kill capitalism? No, because then we get back into the Lord-serf relationship in another way. Because if the government owns all of the business, and so we're not just having socialism to fund the military and socialism to say, hey, you can only be this poor. We're not going to let you die in the street. We're going to take care of you as a decent human being, and we're going to give you ladders to get out of that situation. We're going to have that much socialism, but after you climb out of that basic level, we're back to competing in capitalism, okay? But we have a top end on capitalism, or we basically just say, whatever it takes to keep that socialism on the bottom, you people who have enough money to fund 100 generations, maybe you can only have enough money to fund 75 generations, because we are going to have this socialism on the bottom. But if we say that nobody can compete and everybody's going to have the same thing and the government is going to decide what that is, so 100% socialism, no capitalism, now we're back to being serfs and the government is our lord. Okay, so we have to be subtle. We can't be dumb, manipulated, and dumb is not the word, it's ignorance, and it's pure, honest ignorance. Like, there's a lot of people who don't understand these concepts because they simply were never taught them. Because it's easier to say capitalism good, socialism bad, put that on the test, on to the next subject. Hey, look, all my students got A's, I'm a good teacher. I taught them capitalism good, socialism bad. Okay, we're moving past that. We're moving past that, and we're understanding that we don't have a country without capitalism and socialism. And even though it's harder to discuss that way, we're talking about it here. That's what the alt-left pipeline is about, to say, left is not to say that I want us all to have the same basic income and everybody to have the same clothes and everybody to live under the government. No. It's to say, there but for the grace of God go I. People who are at the bottom don't deserve to be ground into dust. They deserve a chance. And I'm strong enough, you're strong enough to be kind and carry the load for humanity and say, you know what? We're smart enough to figure this out. And oh, look, we figured it out. All we got to do is give you guys a little goatee trim and we're good. We got everything we want. We're good. The right is saying, look at this issue, look at this issue, look at this. Don't look at the Epstein files. Look at this, look at this, look at this. Divide, fight, bicker. And the Democrats do a lot of that too, but not the left. The left is saying, yo guys, it's simple. It's us versus them. That's the left. Liberals might be Democrats, they might be left. Liberal means vaguely, okay, you see this root word liber, okay, it's the same word in Latin, liberty, liberal. They both mean liberty. Liberal basically means I believe in liberty for everybody. That's all it means. So if you're a liberal, you might say, I believe in liberty for everybody, but I'm fine with the Democratic Party as it is because I think that they're upholding that. And you're not paying attention that they're owned by these people too. Okay? And some of these people, no, I'm about to say proper nouns again. I'm about to say names, and I'm not going to do it for the algorithm. It's gotten too powerful, y'all. The AI that they're using to crush anything that they don't want has gotten to the Black Mirror level. In the Marine Corps, I was in intelligence, and I saw some things that I thought were pretty scary, and nothing is scarier than one of the oligarchs whose initials is PT, owns a company that starts with a P and ends with an R, and literally that's all I'm going to say, but if you could probably type that all into Google and figure out who it is, and that company that starts with a P and ends with an R, 8-letter word, starts with a P, ends with an R, has me not saying words that I would have said a year ago. I'm going to try to figure out a way to talk to you guys unfiltered and uncensored because, again, with my background in military intelligence, I have a lot of good ideas of how we fix this. But I'm not going to talk about them on YouTube because that would be instant channel death. So today, we only did one set of full body. So we did biceps, we did shoulders, we did triceps. So biceps, shoulders, triceps, rows for our back muscles, Romanian deadlifts for our hamstrings, presses for our chest, and we did quad squats for our quad muscles. Okay, so that's a full body workout, one set of each. If you want to maintain the muscle that you have, you only need to do 2 sets of that muscle in a week. So if you want your biceps to never get smaller, do 2 sets of bicep exercises in a week. If you want your triceps to never get smaller, do 2 sets in a week. Anything you do beyond 2 sets is going to be more growth, okay? And the sky's the limit, boys and girls. As the more sets, the better. If I did 1 set of everything 7 days a week, because I work out every day. Another thing is when you do this full body and you do 1, 2, 3, 4 sets, you'll be recovered again by the next day. You do it all again the next day, and you never get too tired. You never burn out. And you get so many sets collectively over the course of a week, you will get some really impressive growth. And so if I feel like doing... I'll probably do some more after the stream because mainly today I felt good. It's just we've been talking a lot more than we did yesterday. Yesterday, in less than an hour, I got 3 sets of everything. And most days I get 3 sets. So say I average, 2.5 sets a day times 7, what's that? 15 sets per muscle group for a week. And 2 is to maintain. So I'm getting 13 sets per muscle group of growth. And y'all see, this is easy. I'm doing this while I chat with you. And if I only did 1 set like we did today, 7 days a week, that's 7. Okay, we're still 5 over the 2. So I'm just trying to show you, I'm going to show up and do this every day. And some people might think, oh, that's a lot. Like, how are you going to work out full body every day? It's not hard, man. And you see. And, growing muscles is completely different than growing lung capacity and cardio. So I don't have to be all out of breath. That's a different form of exercise. Cardio is if you want to be able to run faster, farther, longer. Okay? This is to make muscles bigger. They're different things. You can do them both at the same time, but they're different pursuits. Losing weight is a third pursuit, and you can lose weight without doing 1 exercise, but you will lose muscle. And that's why I'm saying 2 sets a week if you're losing weight, you know you will only be losing fat and not muscle. That's when that comes into play. Say I want to lose some fat, but I don't want to work out, but I don't want to lose muscle, because the more muscle you have, the more food you can eat and stay the same weight. So you see how this kind of all fits together? But we don't have pressure, because I'll show up tomorrow, we'll do however many we do. I'm already ahead of the game by doing 1 set every day. But most days I'm doing 2, 3, 4. I'm going to do a couple more after I hop off the stream here, after we wrap it up. I'll let you know tomorrow how many I ended up doing. But we're going to be here every day at 1:11 Mountain Time. We're usually just going to go for an hour. Today we've been a little over an hour and a half, so we're going to wrap it up. But yesterday, in less than an hour, again, we did 3 sets of everything. And that video is posted, so I'm posting my receipts. And I'm showing up to talk about these subtle subjects that the people who want to divide us, they want to dumb this down. They want us to not get into this. They want us to only watch sports and work. Only consume entertainment and work. Don't think, don't participate. You're not smart enough. Leave it to the experts. Man, that's bullshit. You're all smart enough. You're all strong enough. You're all honest enough. You're all courageous enough to have empathy and integrity, to seek love and liberty for yourself and help everybody else get it too. And that's healthy masculinity. Healthy masculinity is serving the tribe, putting the tribe on your back, carrying an extra jug of water that the older person can't carry. Because you can, because you're happy to, because being confident and humble makes me feel more love than only being confident. If I'm only confident but not humble, that's actually fear. That by being humble and admitting that I'm not the greatest at this or that, not the greatest at anything, there's always somebody bigger, badder, better. If I'm afraid to say that, that's bullshit. Okay? But I'm also confident enough to know that, like, hey man, I've busted my ass in life and I have a damn good life and I'm happy. And I could just kick up and coast. And for a while, that's kind of what I've been doing, because I got so burnt out on everything. I'm just like, man, I'm just going to focus. My stuff is good. I love where I live. I love my city. I love my family. I love my community. I love my work. Like, I love my life. But if I stop in that gratitude and I'm not honest enough to say, you know what, it could have gone another way. It could have easily gone a different way several points in my life. And I see people in life who need help that aren't getting any, that deserve it. And having the strength and courage to acknowledge that and have empathy and being like, I can put myself in your shoes and I don't fault you. I see what happened to you. I see why you reacted the way you did. And I see how that caused A, B, and C. And you ended up here and I ended up here. And I could have been you and you could have been me. And say, you know what? Like, if I'm thinking about East Coast Kev bragging about his stock market gains. You know, if you're really rich, you can help people. You can teach people. You don't just stunt on them. You don't just, you know, it's cool to put your watch up, but what else does Shador do? He also puts it down and hands out pizzas every day, every week. That young man is giving back. You only see it if you know, if you follow. If you only see the watch and you think he's only flexing on people, that's not real strength. Real strength is plus kindness. So Shador has the strength to earn, but he has enough to give back. Okay? And that's the whole point right there, is you don't stop once you're good. Avanti asked about pursuing money. Once your cup runneth over, my brother, do something to give back. And then you will never have guilt about earning more. Because if you earning more helps improve the lives of other people, and you can look yourself in the mirror and be honest and courageous to know that that's true, that actually what I'm doing, even though I'm earning more money, is actually helping other people earn more and do better, you're good. And that's healthy capitalism. We'll talk about that. We'll put that on the board on one of these talks, because there's healthy masculinity, healthy capitalism, healthy socialism. There's toxic masculinity, toxic capitalism and toxic socialism. All of these can be true. We get to choose what mix we want, but these people try to influence us, and they are, you know. And one thing I know to do about it is to talk about it, and that's what this is about. Avanti says, I also heavily believe money is power. I know you have said it is worthless, but I don't agree with that. It's the biggest source of power in the world. Okay. Money is not worthless. It is the biggest source of power. When I say it's worthless, this is what we're getting into subtle and nuance, okay? It only has value because we all agree that it does. And we do agree that it does. We agree that, $3 will give you a gallon of milk, or $4 is worth a gallon of milk, and that changes. We all agree it has money. The things that these people buy, which is they buy the institutional investors, they buy Congress, they buy our laws, they buy our media, they buy that with money. That money has value. Those are real things they're buying. When I say money doesn't have value, I'm saying it's created on a computer with a keystroke. Okay, so its value is overly influenced by the people who can hit the enter button and say, put $1 trillion new dollars into the money supply. Because Avanti, anybody, you've worked, you've saved up money, okay? You have, let's say, just to make it a round, easy number to understand, this means nothing. Say you have $100,000 saved up. Somebody who's gonna retire, that hopefully they have a lot more than that. Some people have nothing. Let's just look at $100,000, okay? That money is real, it has value. These people can do stuff with it, you can do stuff with it. When you go to retire, if in that week they hit the enter button and add a new $1 trillion into the collective supply, what does that do to the value of money that you have accumulated? Supply and demand, right? If they just put more money into the supply, which they do at their whim and whimsy, it makes yours worth less. You did nothing wrong. You earned based on a certain rate over all of these years, and with one keystroke, they can devalue everything that you have, and they do. And it's happening constantly. So are you right that money has value and power? Yes, absolutely. But it's controlled by these people in a somewhat arbitrary way. And it's not arbitrary to them, it's arbitrary to us. It is 100% logical into they are consolidating power, and they're making sure that we're on the hamster wheel just enough to not revolt, but that when we get off, we only consume light fluff entertainment because we're tired, we're fatigued. We don't have time to organize, we don't have time to talk about nuanced things like how can money be worthless and give you all the power in the world at the same time, because both are true. It's like Monopoly money, okay? The game is real. Whoever has the most money at the end of the Monopoly game wins the game. That's real. They really won that game, but is the Monopoly money real? No, not really. So in this game that we are in, that we're all consenting to, they need us to consent. If we all just up tomorrow and say we're not consenting to play your game anymore, they would have nothing to do. But they have used their Monopoly money so well that people can't see outside of the game. People see the game as the only option when it's not the only option. Because again, they're running on the hamster wheel just enough to where when they get off, they need to feed themselves, entertain themselves, get some rest, and then it's back to the wheel. If people had time and leisure, some liberty, they would not accept this. And these people know that, so they tune the value just enough. Same way when you retire, they're going to make it so that they don't want people to retire in luxury. They kind of don't want people to retire at all. But they've got to balance that with people revolting and saying, we're not going to have old people dying on the street. which we damn near do with nursing home situations. But the point is, yes, money has value. It can buy you everything in the world. It is what makes them powerful, but is created by a keystroke. They're not pulling gold out of the earth. That is a limited supply, okay? They are hitting a button on the Federal Reserve computer system and saying, and there's $14 trillion. And now all of your money is worth proportionally less because we have diluted the supply. I hope that makes sense. It's especially important if you want to make changes. You need the power of money to help others. Yes, also understand that money, and we're seeing this with cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, doesn't have to be the US dollar. Money is created by humanity. So money is always going to be important because, like I said, if we even have the base level of socialism, we can't have all socialism because then we're all servants to the government. We can have a little bit of socialism so that once you get out of it, like it's the lowest level of living, but it is humane. People are housed, fed, clothed, cared for, but not in luxury, at bare subsistence living, but it's humane. You know, it's not nasty, it's not dirty. They have access to education, but then right after that is capitalism. And it is pure competition because now there's no excuse. You can't just be like, man, I could have been a surgeon or a rocket scientist, or I could have been an attorney, or I could have been a sports agent. I could have been whatever, but I just didn't have the money to go to school. People are going to be like, what are you talking about? You could go out to the facility in Kansas and Iowa and Texas, or do it online. We have free education. As long as you can pass the tests, we want you to be a surgeon. We want the people who actually want to be surgeons and have the brain capacity to do that and pass those tests. We want them to be able to learn what they need to do to heal us when we get hurt and make the amount of money that a truly free market says that they're worth trading their surgery skills or their lawyer skills or their plumber skills or their welder skills, whatever it is. We'll say, we have enough socialism to say, hey, you can learn how to be anything you could pass the test at. You can live bare bones here, eat boring food, you know, you don't have any, you have access to the internet, you know, that's about it, whatever, you have medical care, but people are going to want more, and they're going to be like, what can I do to get out of here? But I'm not on the street, and I'm not like trying to survive every day so that I can never get my feet under me and I just end up becoming violent or belligerent, you know, like some unhoused people do because they're just fed up and they basically, you know, go crazy mentally, whereas all they needed was a place to get their feet underneath them, and that would cost us almost nothing, okay? But then we can look people in the eye and be like, now you gotta compete. You have no excuses, okay? You wanna live bare bones like that, or you wanna have a nice place, you know, downtown Boulder, you know, with nice cars and, you know, season tickets to the sports teams you love and, you know, the ability to kind of do whatever you want. Like, you're going to have to work hard to get that. That's capitalism. We need both. We need nuance. We need to stop dumbing things down for these young men and treat them with the respect to say, you're strong enough to understand these complex concepts, and the people keeping you from those concepts have been doing so to benefit themselves and exploit you, exploit me, exploit our communities. And it doesn't have to be that way. All right, y'all. So today was double the amount of time we were planning to do, and we only did one set of each exercise, but we already talked about that. Yesterday we did 3 sets of everything in less than an hour, but the goal is, you know, we want our weekly sets per body part to be between 10 and 20 but as high as they can be. So I'm going to do this a little more after I get off the stream, but I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up for today. I love you guys. Even the people I disagree with, like East Coast Kev, even anybody who disagrees with everything that I'm saying, you know, I have love for you, and we can talk about all of this, and you can tell me what you believe, you can challenge what I'm saying, but at the end of the day, I need love and liberty to be accessible to all people, and that's where I'm going to find common ground with anybody. It turns out that people who support MAGA, I usually cannot find common ground because they're missing empathy and integrity for missing one of these traits up here. A lot of MAGA people have gratitude, you know, for the money that they have, but they don't have that next trait of honesty to look at other people who've been ground down by society, by capitalism, by institutional racism. It happens in many ways by pharmaceutical companies. People get ground out by medical bills, you know, health issues. Having honesty means that we acknowledge that that could have been us. Having strength is saying, you know what? I'm doing well enough. I could chip in a little bit. I could help a little bit. My community, my society. I have the strength to realize that these people are causing most of the problems, and that working class people mainly all want the same thing. And I have the courage to say, I'm left because I used to be right, and what moved me to the left was my empathy and integrity, and all of these things right here. And we've talked about that in the stream, so we're not going to go back over it. But we're going to show up here every day, guys. I may take, you know, it may not be like 7 days a week, 365. But if the stream says that it's happening, then it's happening. And I'm shooting for it every single day. Every now and then, of course, you know, we're going to have football games. We're going to have things where it can't happen. But you're going to see over the next year, we're going to show up. We're going to keep transforming our bodies, transforming our minds, building community, and talking about these issues because it's the right thing to do. Because for me to just coast in my life on gratitude and stop at gratitude would be dishonest, it would be weak, and it would be the opposite of courage, okay? Because I see young men, the title of this video being the male loneliness epidemic, men getting sucked onto the alt-right end up becoming lonely because they're taught toxic ideology. And nobody wants to be around toxic ideology, not even the people who espouse it. That's why Donald Trump is so miserable. That's why Elon Musk is so miserable. Pete Hegseth, Kash Patel. These are miserable, weak incel men. Okay, if you have to buy your lover, you're an incel. If you got paid for your wife, you're an incel. That's why they're mad, okay? And they're teaching kids who just want a positive role model, who just want to understand, how do I do capitalism in a masculine way that's healthy, that's not toxic, that's confident and humble, that's strong and kind, that improves myself without being a misogynist. And that's what the alt-left pipeline is all about, is to say, hey, if you're on the left, you want love and liberty for all people. And wherever somebody else is coming from, if they just look at those words, love and liberty, and they're like, yeah, I like that. I'm coming from the right wing, I'm coming from MAGA, I'm an independent, whatever, but I like love for everybody. I know every human on earth wants that. I like liberty for everybody because I know every human on earth wants that. Let's talk about those. And it's like, okay, that's what we're going to do. And, you know, the reason is because ultimately, if we lead people to these traits and we reinforce and we demonstrate these traits, people are going to have more of this in their life. They're going to have better lives. They're going to have more love in their life. They're going to experience things that they never would have otherwise. They're going to attract more positivity and good things, and they're going to have enough resources to give back and keep pulling people up instead of smashing people down. On the left, we're about pulling people up. On the right, they're about smashing people down. That's the simplest way I can put it. And so that's what we're doing. We're building ourselves up while we build our community up. And, you know, we will either react to videos that are in my feed, whatever the chat wants to talk about, and we'll be here every day, y'all. All right. Avanti says, see ya, Avanti. Hey, also, if you're still here, or if you want to drop me a line, I wanted to hear more about your, Avanti said he was trying to play some semi-pro football. Man, I would love to hear what position you play, what you're trying to do. I don't know how much details you want to share, but the other day I meant to ask you for some more details on that, so I don't know if you're still in the chat, but I want to hear what you guys are doing, because man, that's trying to pursue sports on any level is hard. And that's why I love Coach Prime and I love the Buffs, because their pursuit is undeniable. You know, you don't always win, and your failures sometimes are what you need to win in the end. Sometimes if you don't lose certain games, you don't build the right chemistry to become the team that you ultimately need to be. The same way that we break down our muscles to build them back up. Anybody pursuing, you know, something with sport has my utmost respect, because it takes consistency, it takes discipline, it takes showing up for yourself while balancing, you know, everything else that everybody has going on in life. Whatever it is you're pursuing out there, feel free to talk about it on the show. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll be back every day. Again, we may take the odd day here or there off, but for the most part, we'll be here every day. And I'm going to wrap it up. But again, from Boulder, guys, it's love and liberty. All we're trying to do is spread love and liberty to as many people as we can. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Respect to all of the people who are also pursuing these kind of traits. And, you know, empathy and, you know, receptiveness to the people who aren't. You know, I want to hear the alternative views. We want to discuss them. We don't want to have an echo chamber. We don't want to be like the alt-right and have a purity test, you know, other than, you know, we're not going to have no Nazis in here. We're not going to have any racists in here. Like, none of that. Okay? But if you can debate your values without going into those places, then you're welcome. And, you know, we will see you in the chat. We will talk about what you have to say, and not shy away from anything that's relevant. Okay? So that's my promise to you guys, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Peace out.